Hello and welcome to Cosmic Consciousness with Kassia. On this channel, we discuss all aspects of the Ascension process. I have a variety of services that I offer to assist in your awakening journey, and you can find those listed in the description box below. Today, I'm on here with the lovely Sapper from the Chosen 144, and we're going to be talking about this Hopi Prophecy and this third shaking of the world. I know that you guys love it when we bring Pete on here, and we're having the gift of his opinion and his insight as we explore this topic. If you want to just say hello to everyone, Pete, I know they can only see one person's face at a time here.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be on my favorite channel, which is Cosmic Consciousness with Kassia, because my God, Kassia is always so plugged in. You guys are in the right place if you want to understand what the hell is going on Earth right now.
Is that not the question? And so I'll tell you guys what sort of prompted this video was in the Hopi Prophecy, they talk about these shakings of the world. And so the idea is that we've had two shakings of the world already, and we're coming into that third shaking of the world. And every time we have this opportunity to change our ways and to become more aligned with nature, to become more aligned with our own divinity and our divine selves, and for all of the races of man to bring together their knowledge in order to restore peace and order to the world. And every time that this is neglected, we experience that shaking. And so the shakings of the world, many people have likened to the world wars. And so as we are moving through this stage of our evolution and our ascension process, we're seeing those rumblings, right? I know that it's a really hot topic right now. Everybody's talking about Russia and the Ukraine and everything that's going on there. We have, of course, some of the other markers of this third shaking of the world that the Hopi Prophecy talks about when we're looking at the floods and the famines and the earthquakes and all of the natural disasters. And everything that they prophesied was going to lead up to this point. And so I know a lot of people are wondering, you know, there's a lot of different ways that we look at this energy. Some people look at it in the guise of this Hopi Prophecy. Some people look at it in the guise of like the rapture or revelations. Like everywhere we look, there are references to these end times, right? To this Armageddon type of an energy. And so I think that there's a lot of people out there asking, like, is this the end of the world? Is this the third shaking of the world? And like, what does that mean for humanity as a whole? And what does that mean for us in our ascension process? And so what's really interesting about this Hopi Prophecy is that they say that we're actually in the fourth world right now, and that there have been three worlds that were wiped from existence because they failed to heed the call and failed to shift their ways when their actions were taking on catastrophic consequences. And we've really framed this in a lot of different ways. We talk about Atlantis, right? We talk about these other lost civilizations. And oftentimes what happened, like we'll use Atlantis for an example, because that's the one that I'm personally most familiar with. And I think a lot of people are too, right? Is part of what happened with Atlantis was the ways that they were experimenting with technology and the different advances, the ways that they were utilizing the knowledge and the information that they had and the power that they had as a result of that took on sort of a darker energy. And they were experimenting in ways that were dangerous to not just this planet, but to the entire galaxy that we're a part of. And so they, unfortunately, at the end of that time, Atlantis had to end, right? It was sort of like a failed experiment. And so according to this, and I say that with love because a lot of us were there during Atlantis, right? And so it definitely had its beautiful, beautiful moments and aspects as well. I never want people to feel as though I'm saying that Atlantis was a terrible society or experience, because I think a lot of us have very fond memories of that time. There's a lot of beautiful things that came out of that energy, right? But ultimately, we got to choose that fork in the road, and the collective energy chose the fork that led to the ultimate destruction. And so this is what the Hopi Prophecy warns about, is that we are once again being faced with that choice. They call it the one-hearted path and the two-hearted path. And so this choice, you can see the parallels here, right? We talk about this all the time, the splitting timelines, right? Fear versus love or faith, right? Service to others versus service to self. we see the same split going on. They just call it by a different name. And one leads to destruction and one leads to the new earth, right? They actually call it the fifth, I believe it's the fifth earth or the fifth world is what they call what we're moving into. And in this prophecy, they do say that eventually this third shaking of the world will bring us there, right? Those who kind of make it through that energy, I guess you might say, those who persevere and stay strong to their faith, stay strong to their truth, will eventually end up in that fifth world, which of course we would now, the way that we talk about it would be like the new earth, right? That's the energy of the new earth. So we see we're being given this option again. And so what I'm wondering and what I'm thinking about this, because I see this really as a positive thing. I don't see it as a bad thing, right? Because we needed the earth to shake in order to wake people up. So my question, and this is my question for you as well, Pete, is sort of like what your thoughts are around this, is like, what is the point that it's going to need to come to before enough people wake up? And is there a point where some of us who are more aligned, who choose that the path, right, of service to others, that path of love, are we going to experience that full shaking of the earth? Or is there going to be a point where we don't experience that because we've transferred into a different reality? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting when you read about the Hopi prophecy, when you read the actual prophecy itself that came from this Native American culture, it suggests specifically wars and natural disasters. Mm-hmm. And you know, we've got this war right now that's going on between Russia and Ukraine. It was just a blatant invasion, is what it was, of a sovereign country. And the reason we're all so up in arms about it is it's the first time in God knows how long we can remember a country that wasn't America invading another country or declaring war, right? Yeah, I didn't wear my U.S. Army hat for nothing today, right? So during the first part of my life or tenure of my life, I was very much obsessed with military, this, that, and the other, and studying military actions throughout history and studying all of military history and completely love and obsessed with it. This is the dark shadow aspect of me that's so in love with war. So I'm very well versed in military history and understand exactly what's been going on, especially for the last 3 decades. From the time that I graduated high school in 1990, we have been at war nonstop. It's literally been one war after another, and America is the #1 warmonger of all. So that's why it's such a shock to see some other country warring with another country or invading another country, another sovereign country for no reason. You know, it's hilarious to see the warmongering U.S. admonish Vladimir Putin and his country, which it's the hypocrisy is shocking, levels of shocking. The other thing the Hopi prophecy talks about is natural disasters, like what you know, you and I had Samala on last night. She was talking about what a freaking disaster happened in Australia, especially where she's at in Byron Bay, or close to where she's at in Byron Bay. And we know that this was the second thing that they were going to go to distract us from what they're actually planning, the dark forces on this planet that have been running this slave planet for God knows how long, since Atlantis times, since the last time we had a failed experiment, you know, that went awry, because certain greedy people came into power and started only worrying about themselves and drove us right off into the Hell's Highway. The other thing they talk about is this climate change, right? That's the big disaster that's going to take us out, the climate change, right? And so now we know that they've been experimenting with weapons that alter the climate and alter weather for a long time. That's not even a little bit of a secret. It's not a conspiracy theory or anything. Like, literally nothing I'm saying here is conspiracy theory-ish. It's legit stuff. Anybody can Google and look it up. But it's going to be labeled as conspiracy theory-ish, you know, like everything else that we say on our channel was labeled conspiracy theory until you know 2 years later down the line where it comes along. So I don't have any opinion on anything or perspective on anything. I just retell the facts as they happen, and so that's the big deal. The Hopi prophecy speaks specifically about climate disasters, natural disasters, and war. So the Hopi Prophecy, whoever thought this up really knew their stuff, right? They really could foresee exactly what the hell was happening. And now you've got all of those factors that have come together now. The climate change is being the big thing that they're ringing the bell about, as if that's the thing that's our imminent doom. We've got these natural disasters that are happening, which are very likely the result of cloud seeding. She didn't want to talk about it, but she did mention it for a split second. She didn't go into detail on it, Samala, last night. But we all know where her head was at, and legitimately so. And then we've got this. We've got these wars. We got these wars that are cropping up, and Taiwan and China might be next. Who knows? But we're just so like I said, we're just so in shock that anybody else is declaring war that isn't that whose paychecks we aren't signing. Yeah. So that's it. Whoever put this Hopi Prophecy together could foresee these factors coming together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad. I was hoping that you were gonna take it in that direction, because it is really interesting, right? Just the way that we're acting like what's going on is so out of the norm, right? It's so shocking that a country would invade another country, and how dare they do something like that, right? Yeah. And one thing that I really want to point out is, like, yes, we are very in line with this Hopi Prophecy, right? It's certainly, it has all the factors, right? Everything is right there. But the thing to remember still is not to get sucked into the narrative of it. Like, for instance, when we're looking at Russia and the Ukraine and everything that's going on there, and my heart goes out to everybody involved, of course, always. We as light workers, as light bearers, we set that intention to send that healing, to send that light, to hold that space for them energetically. But this is the kind of stuff that goes on all over the world every single day. Nations invade nations, right? We just don't always hear about it, because the US, like our government and our media, doesn't necessarily always want us to focus on it or think about it. There's always an agenda. There's always a reason that they show us everything that they show us. So why are they showing this to us right now? Right? Why are they making such a big deal about this? And I don't mean that it's not a big deal. So nobody misquote me as saying that it doesn't matter. But I'm saying, like, why do they want it to matter to us so much? Right? Why are they pushing this? There's always a reason behind. Like Pete said, there's an energy that, yes, has been present since Atlantean times and probably before, right? That is behind a whole lot of this energy. And so what is the reasoning for that? And are we allowing ourselves to get sucked into that fear narrative? We had, for the past 2 years, the media bombarding us with a certain virus, right? A certain energy, keeping us in fear of that. And now, as soon as the fear from that is dissipating, we're being given something else to be afraid of. We're always being shown something else to be afraid of. We're always being invited to move down that path of fear. And so we want to make sure that we are in the place where, yes, there is a lot of unrest going on around the world, right? There's a lot of unrest going on right here at home. Now that's being distracted from. We're not thinking so much about the unrest that's going on here and why it is that was created in the first place, right? It's a great distraction technique, so that we aren't paying attention to all the workers that are going on strike right now, so that we're not paying attention to what's going on with the mandates and things like that anymore, right? That's now put out of our minds. The poverty levels and the levels of unemployment, all of that we're no longer thinking about, because our attention's being diverted somewhere else, right? But and our attention is always going to be diverted to something. So with all of this going on, we have to continually bring it back, right? We have to continually find our own center and find our own ability to stay. And we've been talking about this constantly, right? This being the eye of the storm, being that calm center in the eye of the storm. So we're getting a lot of practice with that right now, because there is a lot of outer chaos, but we do not have to let it affect our inner chaos. This is where we talk about sovereignty of our vibration. Am I able to maintain a sovereign vibration? Am I able to witness what's going on in the world, right? In the collective energy, have compassion for that, like we said, even hold space for that. But at the same time, not allow myself to get dragged down this. It's like a bottomless pit, right, of despair that we can allow ourselves to get sucked down if we play into that energy. And so it's about, how am I able to hold that space and still be that bright light and not allow myself to get completely caught up in all of these energies. Yes, there are natural disasters going on every day, and our hearts once again go out to everyone involved. And at some point we may be those people involved if we're not yet, right? Nobody is, there's no one that's immune to this energy, right? It could affect us at any point, but we still have the choice of how we respond to that, right? Can we still maintain our center? Can we know and understand that in a way, this is still a natural process that is happening and occurring, right? This was prophesized, and it was prophesized that this was meant to be, right? This is not an aberration. This is the journey that leads us to where we're going. And so part of that training that we're experiencing right now is, are we able to be sovereign in the middle of that? Are we able to still choose how we respond? Are we able to still craft our own reality, right? And are we able to keep our eyes on that end goal, on that end sight, right? Are we able to choose the path of love, the path of trust in every situation? And we're going to be given a lot of opportunities to do that. We're going to be given a lot of opportunities to practice service to others, right? With so many suffering in the world around us. But are we able to be of service to others without losing ourselves and losing our minds in that process, right? These are the kinds of things that we want to think about as we continue to navigate the apparent insanity that's going on in the world around us. It's once again really like what I'm feeling right now, Pete, is bringing it back to that energy, like you talk about, of everything is absolutely perfect. This is an ultimate test of that energy. Am I able to say everything is absolutely perfect in the world around me, right? Am I able to have that acceptance of this three-dimensional playing field that we're operating on right now when things are erupting into absolute chaos? Because these are the things, when people talk about their faith, right? These are some of the number one things that cause people to not believe in something greater than themselves, because they look at things like war and famine and they say, if there was a God, why would this exist? Why would people suffer? Right? And so it's like, it's really challenging us to continue to remember that we all chose this before we came here. Right? We all chose to play the parts that we're playing in the unfoldment of this prophecy.
We chose. That's right, baby. That's really that's the whole damn thing about this situation. It's not about let's brag about how we're chosen. It's let's show how much we've chose to be here. About this is, I mean, our entire life came down to a decision, a choice, right? That we chose to be here. So we've got to keep that in mind. And here's the important thing: the technical definition of unconditional love is, I get it. Everything belongs. Everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. That's the technical definition of unconditional love. It's acceptance. It's radical acceptance of this is exactly the way it needs to be to facilitate the evolution of human consciousness that we're undergoing right now. So important. The technical definition of unconditional love is seeing that everything is exactly as it's supposed to be. Everything belongs. This is a thing that human beings they can't seem to wrap their head around, because we're so into this energy of judgment. We've been so indoctrinated to immediately label this is good, this is bad. And it's that reactivity that these people, these controllers of the narrative are looking to hook us with. It's that reactivity of, oh my God, that immediate, this is bad. We label it, right? We unknowingly put add our own energy to it, and we magnify it, right? So attention is the most important resource on the planet, more important than gold, more important than money or any finances or any other type of abundance you can imagine, is your attention. Because if I can get you to pay attention to something, and then I can get you to believe that it's bad, I've immediately triggered your survival instinct, and now I've got you super glued to what I need you to look at, and I need you to lend your consciousness to, which is the outcome that I want, which is the 3D timeline, if I'm one of these controllers. If I can get you to pay attention, the most valuable resource on the planet, that's why everybody's vying for it for right now. If I can get you to pay attention and be reactive to any situation, I can hijack your consciousness, and that's exactly what's happening now. When Kassia says, why are they showing this to us? What's going on? Why are they only show us what they want us to see, right? We've seen that with all the protests and stuff that are happening now. They don't ever show that stuff. They don't want you to see anything that goes against their little narrative, right? And by narrative, I mean the mainstream media, all their puppets, these non-mainstream sources of media that are constantly censoring the truth, right? Sorry. Being reactive, right? We have to stop being reactive, and we have to stop labeling this as good or bad, because we're playing right into their hands, right? Anytime we're emotionally reactive and we're not thinking, we're operating from survival instinct, we're falling into their trap. Every time we're labeling some situation as bad and adding our energy to it, we're falling right into their trap of them co-opting our consciousness into creating the 3D timeline.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you think about it, you look at it, that has been, like, you hit the nail on the head there, Pete, when you're talking about the survival energy. That has been the trick all along, right? Keep us in the survival, keep us in the survival brain. If we're in a survival mentality, we don't have time to think about anything else, right? Like, this is the oldest trick in the book. And it used to be, it was, you know, at times a little bit simpler. You know, it was more just like, keep everybody in poor health, keep everybody broke so that they're constantly just trying to work and survive and put food on the table, make sure there's a roof over their heads, because then people don't have time to ponder their existence or think about anything else or question anything, right? Because they're too busy trying to get their basic needs met. And then they elevate this energy, right? With all of these catastrophes, all of these wars, right? All of these invasions, this, you know, the big T word, all of that, right? And then, of course, we've seen over the past couple of years, a new tactic that they've tried. And so it's over and over again, just like, let's move you from survival mode into like uber survival mode, right? Because now you're afraid to even leave your house because something catastrophic is going to happen if you do, you know? And so, they keep elevating the fear factor to keep us deeper and deeper in survival mode. But the beautiful thing about it is it's not working, right? It's working for some, but for many of us, it's not working anymore. The more, it's like, once you become awakened and once you become aware to what's going on, it starts to be funny almost. And you're just like, really, you're doing that again?
Yeah.
Really, again? Because it's like Pete said, history repeats itself over and over again. Nothing that's being done is new. All right. It's like, why would you change the game plan when the same plan keeps working, right? When the same moves keep working. And so it's up to humanity as a whole to be like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. And recognize that and begin to understand what's happening. So, but in the meantime, while we're waiting for people to catch up to that, and they are, it may not seem like it, but more and more people are every day, right? Because this energy of spiritual awareness, right? It spreads like wildfire, right? It spreads faster than the wildfires that we see out in nature right now. This spiritual wildfire is growing. And so it's all we have to do is to hold that awareness, to hold that higher consciousness, right? And allow and continue to be the fuel that allows that fire to burn and allows more and more people to sort of catch this bug, right? Have this consciousness, have this expansion of their consciousness. That's all we have to do. Like the thing even about the Hopi prophecy, right? Is there's a choice. We have a choice. And so at any point, we can switch timelines, right? The Hopi prophecy is prophesizing one specific timeline for humanity, but there are many different timelines. And yes, because humanity up until this point has been sadly as predictable as the tactics that have been used against us, that timeline that they predicted has continued in trajectory. but we can switch that at any time. We can switch into that fifth world without having to experience perhaps the full destruction of the fourth, right? We can more gracefully move from one to the other, perhaps, right? The shaking only needs to go on as long as it needs to go on until we're awake, right? Yeah. And so that, like, we have that choice, we have that option. And so it starts, it's one person by one person. There's that old phrase, right, where they try to say that one person doesn't make a difference. This is a disempowering tactic, right? Yeah. One single person doesn't make a difference, but one person makes a huge difference. Because what's a whole group of people? It's one person plus one person plus one person, on and on and on. So every single person who stays in their sovereignty, who stays in their integrity, who wakes up and stays awake and doesn't decide that they want to go back to sleep because they don't like what they see around them. Trust me, that doesn't actually work anyway, right? That's a losing game, right? That energy grows. And so never ever feel discouraged, like you are the only person around you. I feel like there are people watching this who feel like you're the only person that gets it. You're the only person that's noticing, and it's starting to get, I think some of us are starting to get a little tired. We're starting to get a little weary because we're like, when is the rest of the world? It's probably how the Hopis have felt, you know, for hundreds of years, right? Thousands of years. Like, oh my God, when are they going to get it? You know, like it can feel draining after a while when we start to feel like we're alone, right? But you're not alone, and you do matter. So continue to stand your ground, your energetic ground, your spiritual ground. Continue to know within your heart and trust within your heart that where we are headed is somewhere good. And that's where we're going to end up, right? But it starts with knowing that where we are right now is good.
Yeah, I'm going to quote Dr. David Hawkins. For anybody who's feeling like they don't freaking matter, it's a single light worker, a single 144K light worker vibrating at the frequency of unconditional love, which is exactly what I told you. It's not this like superpower unconditional love. It's literally just accepting everything, radical acceptance of everything as exactly as it is. I love it and I chose it, literally, because that's the situation. One single light worker vibrating at the frequency of unconditional love can hold the frequency, hold the vibration for 175,000. Right? Mm-hmm. Was that the number that he used? 175,000? It was like something like that, or 250,000. It's something insane. It's something insane. I can't remember the exact number. I apologize. It's something insane. And this idea of one person can't make a difference, dude. In your world, you're the one person that makes all the difference, right? Because deciding that depending on how you decide to vibrate, what vibration you decide to hold, you're tuning yourself into that version of Earth that you're going to end up on, right? So one person makes all the difference in your world.
Perfectly said. So we want everyone to remember that you make all the difference. All right. And stand strong in your frequency. Keep vibrating at that level of unconditional love, right? Make that choice that was highlighted in the prophecy, that choice that we talk about all the time, the choice of love, right? The choice of trust, that choice to be in alignment with nature, right? To be in alignment with your fellow human beings and your fellow starseeds, right? To be connected, to feel that connection, to breathe that connection, right? And to make that difference, be that example, be that change that you want to see in the world. That's what we're all here to do. That's what we're all doing. And if we do that, if we show up every day like that, we know that we are making a positive impact, and we can trust in that, right? That's something that we can know for ourselves, right? That's something that we can see, that we can feel in our daily lives. Just keep showing up, just keep doing that. And don't worry about how hard the earth has to shake, right? We came here. We are so strong and so powerful. We can withstand any shaking of the world, any earthquake, right? We are equipped for that. We are spiritual warriors. All right. And so just know that you are a warrior. Feel that energy within yourself. know that you are connected to and supported by a long lineage of spiritual warriors. And this is what we came here for. We came here to stand on that shaking ground with our heads held high. All right. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's what these energies don't want, right? They want us to cower when we feel the shaking, right? But we can allow that shaking to make you stronger, right? Allow that to make you braver. Be courageous in the face of that. And no, because remember, we're not from here, right? We're not from here anyway. Death is an illusion. Anything that can happen in this three-dimensional reality, it's not permanent, right? And so when you remove the fear of death, when you remove the fear of what's going to happen, right? Because you know that you're an infinite being, then it becomes that much easier to simply show up every single day, trusting that exactly what is meant to happen is going to happen. And you're going to be along for this ride for as long as you're meant to be along for this ride. And just make the most out of every single moment that you're here, and know that you came for this. Like we said, you chose this, you signed up for this. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist of it. I don't know if there's anything you have to say, Pete, to sort of close us out.
Other than, yeah, guys, share this video, give it a like, please. It helps YouTube's algorithm give it a boost. Probably some of the things that I've said, the algorithm hated, but yeah, please share it, because Kassia, guys, you're gonna, as you see, Super Kassia is the best kept secret on YouTube, so we want to get this information out. I know that there's a lot of people that that need to hear this message, right? Number one, so that they can understand how their consciousness is being co-opted, right? With, like I said, anything that you fear, or this is reality creation 101, whatever you fear with all your heart or you revere, right? What you are terrified of and what you give your reverence to, what you admire is what's gonna manifest in your reality. The people who are running the narrative know this very well. They understand reality creation very well. And they've got this whole situation meant to hijack your consciousness and lend it to their timeline, the timeline that they want to create, their AI alien invasion freaking timeline, where they turn all of us into freaking brainless, mindless AI replicant clones with no freaking free will. And make no mistake, guys, that's the target right there. There is a blatant play, which goes against universal freaking law, to subvert human free will. That's exactly what this whole thing is about. That's what the end game is. If you're looking for the end game of what these dark forces are doing, they're looking to subvert free will, and they're using everything they've got at their behest, including this freaking platform that you're watching this video on, to do that, to co-opt consciousness, to hijack your consciousness and create their 3D timeline.
Right.
How's that for a close?
That was absolutely perfect. Amen to that. They're attempting to hijack your consciousness, but you don't have to let them. We can take our power back anytime, right? And most of us have given that away at some point, consciously or unconsciously. That's what this awakening process is all about. It's about taking your power back, taking your will back, taking your own God-given power to create, right? They understand this creation game, but guess what? We're beginning to understand it too. And as more and more of us understand this and we come together to create, that's when real change happens. And that's when we're able to fully shift this reality. And so definitely, if this is your first time at this channel, hit that subscribe button. I put out videos on this and all kinds of related topics all the time. Check out Pete's channel. It's linked in the description box below, The Chosen 144. He is always putting out amazing content like this. Like, if you guys are ready to free your minds, if you're ready to reclaim your sovereignty, right? If you are ready to be the creator of your reality and really firmly take this energy, right? Take this world in your hands and shift it and be a part of the movement that is shifting this world into a higher dimension, into that beautiful fifth world, right? That beautiful fifth dimension, into that positive timeline, then you've come to the right place, right? You found your tribe. This is what we're doing together. So welcome, and let's get to it, you guys. Much love to each and every single one of you. And we look forward to both seeing you again soon.
Thanks so much, Kassia. I appreciate it.
Bye.